Alright folks, it is Matthew. We are back. I am still working on collection mode, case 30 in Grimsboro, but by the time that this video has started, all of the stuff would have been filmed. As you can see, I still have some new packs, but I'm not going to look at them right now. I did forget about sticker packs from the prior case, but that's okay. Thanks to everyone who helped me out, and we got a new case today. In a new district. Or should I say a new region? Seems like some people have started already. It is Crash and Burn. Alright team, we'll soon be arriving in Kenya. Let's review our operations strategy. We escaped Sombra's secret island by the skin of our teeth. It's a miracle we got out alive. The island was destroyed, but a boatload of Sombra's next-level recruits had already escaped. Although you discovered Sombra sent these recruits to Kenya, Matthew, we've no idea why. Chief Ripley, I know you and the team don't trust me, but I can help with your investigation. Sombra's recruits are trained to work alone. If any of them are in Kenya, we'll only find one. The rest will disperse across Africa. Even so, our best shot is to go to Kenya and discover why Sombra sent one of their agents there. Your intel was vital to our success throughout Oceania, Michelle, and I'm inclined to seek your counsel if needed. However, given your recent association with Sombra, we'll need time to assess your loyalties. The rest of you, let's... Uh-oh. Matthew, what was that? Uh-oh. Brace for impact! Something's wrong with the plane! We're going down! Okay, I got us down in one piece, more or less. Is everyone alright? I think we're okay up front, right Matthew? What about down the back, Ingrid? What about down the back, Ingrid? Yes, Chief. It looks like no one is hurt. Captain Nkosi, what just happened? As far as I can tell, there was an explosion in the engine. Then I lost control of the plane. I brought us down in the baobab treetops near the Malagasy capital, Antananarivo. Wait, you're saying our plane is in a tree? It was the best I could do under the circumstances. Now I have contacts at the embassy, so I'll climb down and report our crash to the authorities. I'll come with you, Captain. Ranger Matthew, my co-pilot, and I will be back soon. In the meantime, stay inside the plane. Is that pilot ever coming back, Matthew? Jack's right. We can't wait forever. No matter how dangerous it is, we need to climb down from this tree. Come on, everyone. Let's get out of here. Everyone's climbed down from that plane, Matthew. Thank goodness we're all safe. Matthew, little help? Jack, we're not outside 5 minutes and you're already disturbing the local wildlife. Good idea, Matthew. Let's spread out and secure the area. Okay, first of all, sit tight. I need to do something. Okay. Had to do a reboot, but that's alright. Gonna have to do a major recharge because I did use a lot for... Oh no. Is that our pilot? It could be. Oh my God, Matthew! That's our pilot! His throat's been cut! I can't believe Jacobo got killed right outside of the plane, practically in front of our noses! If we'd come down earlier, we may have stopped the killer! This is a grave situation. The team will have to establish camp as best they can, but I'm counting on you, Matthew, to solve this murder. Alright, Matthew, let's see what you found. We better put those pieces of plastic you found near the victim back together. Ranger Matthew, thank goodness I found you. I've been lost for hours. Oh my God, Jacobo's dead? I'm afraid so, Miss Hart. Calm down, take some deep breaths. Ranger Matthew will see you shortly. Matthew, this crash has disrupted our journey to Kenya, but that'll have to wait. We've got a murder to solve. Okay. 18 hours. Alright, I'll see you guys in a few minutes. I need to get some stars. Alright. Let's examine the plastic pieces first before we talk to the captain. Got 9. That's a visitor pass for the U.S. Embassy in Antananarivo, Matthew, and it has our victim's name on it. If Jacobo made it to the embassy, then he must have been killed on his way back to the plane. Good idea, Matthew. Let's go to the U.S. Embassy to see if he contacted the authorities. Well, first of all, we'll ask Jasmine Hart first. Miss Hart, tell Ranger Matthew what happened. Take your time. You're safe now. It was horrible. Jacobo and I climbed down from the plane and headed for Antananarivo. He ran too fast and we got separated. Before I knew it, I was lost. I was so scared and didn't know what to do. Did you see anyone in the jungle? Someone who might have killed Jacobo? No. Eventually, I walked back full circle towards the crash site. That's when I saw you climbing down from the plane. I can't believe Jacobo's dead. He was my mentor. If only we hadn't been separated, he might still be alive. Stay calm, Miss Hart. Ranger Matthew will solve Jacobo's murder. That's a promise. Personally, I hope it's not Jasmine Hart. I believe this is case 37. Yes, it is. And the embassy now. Faded paper. Blocked phone. Old photograph. Where the heck is that giraffe? Okay, right in the middle. 9th. This office must be where Jacobo came, Matthew. Look at all of the things he left behind. That cell phone has Jacobo's picture on it. It must have belonged to him. I'll let you unlock it. That faded document is an incident report. I wonder if that incident is our plane crash. And Jacobo is also in that photograph you picked up. I wonder who he's with. They look pretty friendly. Elliot is still setting up his lab, so let's cross-reference the image with the embassy database. I don't have any energy, but any leftover energy, but I'm gonna get some stars, so sit tight. Sorry guys, tablet was running low. Let's examine the little photograph. I have 9 stars. Ended up with a Nina Zaffi. Okay. The woman smiling with our victim on this picture is Nina Zaffi, a local mechanic. It's clear she and the victim knew one another, Matthew. Let's go have a chat with Nina Zaffe. How she knew the victim? Nina Zaffe, we wanted to ask you about this photograph. When did you last see Jacopo Nicosi? Jacopo? I saw him a few hours ago. Did you know his plane crashed? He was lucky to survive. Yes, we were on that plane too. And well, Jacopo's been murdered. What? That's horrible! I saw your plane come down and I was heading there to see if I could help. But Jacopo was coming towards town and told me there was nothing I could do. How did you know the victim? Jacopo flew charter routes all over Africa, and I did his engine services whenever he was in Antananarivo. I can't believe he's dead. Thanks for your help, Nina. We may come to see you again later. Okay, locked phone now. R FE5. Got 9 in time. The last incoming message on Jacopo's phone looks like it was received just before the murder. The message reads, "Out of the frying pan and into the fire. You won't survive my anonymous intervention." That's a rather threatening message, Matthew. Do you think it's from the killer? Elliot hasn't re-established a connection to the Bureau network since the crash, so we can't run a trace on the message. But Marina could tell us more about the psychology of the sender. You're right, Matthew. Let's get that phone to her right away. And faded paper. Aha! That incident report has Jacopo's name on it, Matthew. And the form is signed by an ambassador, Alex Lange. So Jacopo did manage to contact the authorities. Why didn't anyone come to the crash site? We'd better have a word with Ambassador Lange, Matthew, to find out what's going on. About his visit to the embassy, Jacopo's visit. Ambassador Lange, we wanted to ask you about the incident report you signed on Jacopo Nicosi's behalf. Did he make contact with you? Ah, you must be from the Bureau. I'm so glad you're safe. Yes, Jacopo came here. I sent him back to the crash site and assured him help was on the way. Except there was no sign of it when we came down from the plane's wreckage, and by then, Jacopo had been murdered. Dear God, murdered? How's that possible? Who would do such a thing to a man like Jacopo? You and the victim were on a first-name basis? Yes, Jacopo ran charter flights to Antananarivo. I often hired him for official trips. It's been fascinating talking to you, but I have things to do. Bureaucracy never stops, you know, and don't worry about that help. I'm sure it's on the way. Obviously, we won't be needing it anymore. We're all safe now. That's splendid then. One less thing I have to do. So long. Be sure to come back before leaving Madagascar. Okay. I'll let both run their courses. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the autopsy from the victim's body. Isn't this surreal, Matthew? We crash landed in the Malagasy jungle, and now we're investigating the pilot's murder. Even with this makeshift lab, it's easy to see Jacopo Nicosi's throat was slashed. The victim must have bled out in seconds. There's nothing we could have done. I wish we'd known what was going on out there. We might have been able to stop the killer. The cut is quite deep and broad. There are also small tear marks, meaning part of the blade was serrated. So keep your eyes peeled for a hunting knife, Matthew. I also found traces of a yellow substance on the victim's face, which I determined is nasal mucus. The mucus contains grass pollen, typical of someone suffering from allergic rhinitis or hay fever. Your victim shows no symptoms of an allergic reaction, so the mucus must have come from the killer. Matthew, that clue's nothing to sneeze at. We're looking for a killer who has hay fever. And text message. Matthew, how are you holding up? Everyone's shell-shocked by the crash, but at least we set up this makeshift lab. Yes, we're a little rattled. Have you been able to analyze that text message on our victim's phone? It's very short, but this message reveals a lot about the person who sent it. Out of the frying pan and into the fire obviously refers to Jacobo surviving the crash. But it's the second phrase that's so intriguing. The words anonymous and intervention are used as a euphemism for murder, meaning this message was sent by Jacobo's killer. These words are often associated with addiction treatment and rehabilitation, indicating the sender struggles with a chronic dependency, relying on something as an emotional crutch. Or to be more succinct, you're looking for a killer who has an addiction. Well, I think it's time we broke this killer's habit for murder, Matthew. This has been one crazy day, Matthew. We're flying to Kenya to stop a Sombra operation and end up crashing in Madagascar. At least we've been able to freshen up and change clothes. We barely escaped Sombra's sinking island, and now this. Matthew, we're lucky to be alive. And now we've got the pilot's murder to investigate. Let's go over what we know. Jacobo made it to Antananarivo, but was killed on the way back to the plane. He encountered Nina Zaffi on her way to the crash site, but he refused her help, so according to her, she wasn't anywhere near the crime scene. And Ambassador Lange, I'm pretty sure all he's guilty of is bureaucratic incompetence. Jasmine Hart's our prime suspect. As Jacobo's co-pilot, she knew him better than anyone and was the only person at the murder scene. You've got our work cut out for us, Matthew, if we're going to get to the bottom of this. Matthew, I've re-established network communication. I've traced the message Jacobo received from the killer. I know where they sent it from. Wow. Nice job, Elliot. We'll get to Chapter 2 in a few minutes. See y'all then. Alright, folks, we're back. Let's start Chapter 2. This is one for the books, Matthew. Narrowly escaping Sombra's sinking island only to end up crashing in Madagascar. And to make matters worse, our pilot got murdered. There's no way we can continue our mission to track down Sombra's operations in Kenya until this murder's solved. Matthew, remember that text message you found from the killer on Jacobo's phone? I've re-established network communication and traced its origin. It was sent from Anozi Lake. Our killer was at the lake shore? If we're lucky, Matthew, they may still be there. Let's go. Slight freeze there, but it recovered, thank goodness. Let's see, do I think I can get them all? Let's try. Flight recorder. Pilot satchel. I'll take it. Dang, nobody's here, Matthew. The killer's long gone. But it wasn't a total loss. You found some clues. What's that beaten up box, Matthew? Flight recorder. Wait, could that be our plane's black box? Did it break off during the explosion? The recorder doesn't appear to be damaged, but you'll need to work out how to unlock it. That captain's satchel has Jacobo's initials on it. Let's take a look inside. And I agree, Matthew, a rifle magazine is suspicious, especially when there's blood on it, but Jacobo wasn't shot. We better get a sample of that blood regardless. Let's go ahead and open it up. I'm going to take care of everything right now. Oh no. Z8. There we are. You've unlocked the plane's black box, Matthew. I don't know what data is recorded by these devices. Good thing Elliot has his systems backup. 6 hours. And the rifle clip. There we are. Lars is still setting up his equipment, Matthew. Let's get this blood you collected from that rifle magazine under the microscope ourselves. There we are. Jacobo Nicosi's blood. Your instincts are correct, Matthew. This is Jacobo's blood. That means that rifle magazine is the killer's, but Jacobo wasn't shot. That's strange, Matthew. Let's have Jonah take a closer look at this rifle magazine and see if it tells us anything about our killer. Okay, this is 12 hours. And let's take care of the pilot's satchel right now. Ooh, I see something. Aha! Dog tags. You found some dog tags in the victim's bag, Matthew. I didn't know Jacobo was in the military. Oh, right. The tags belong to a certain Aristide Akintola. Let's bring him in for a few questions. About his relationship? Excuse me, my hay fever is acting up. How can I help you? Mr. Akintola, do you know Jacobo Nicosi? We found your dog tags in his satchel. Jacobo? We go way back. We were in the military together. How is the old mug? We're sorry to tell you this, but Jacobo's been murdered. Murdered? Who would do such a thing? Jacobo and I were inseparable back then. Military pilots, the best of the best. That was before I lost my eye, of course. When you go through the things that Jacobo and I went through, you become like brothers, you know. I can't believe he's gone. We're sorry you've lost a friend, Mr. Akintola, but Ranger Matthew may have more questions for you later. Okay. And I'll let both of them run their courses, and I'll see you all later. Alright folks, we're back. I'm under an unlimited energy happy hour, so I'm going to go ahead and speed up the rifle clip because I'm pretty sure that'll give me the next chapter, or the next crime scene anyway. Matthew, Marina and I are so glad you're okay. This crash really gave us both a scare. Thanks, Jonah. We're hoping that rifle magazine Matthew found might shed some more light on Jacobo's killer. It sure does. This rifle magazine comes from a Ruger precision rifle, a long-distance weapon allowing someone to shoot a target up to 1,600 yards away. It's a highly specialized weapon designed for pinpoint accuracy. To be carrying a rifle like this, your killer's gotta be an expert marksman. But Jacobo had his throat cut. He wasn't shot. And yet this magazine is missing bullets, meaning the killer fired at something. I guess you'll have to ask them when you catch them, Matthew. Now that we know our killer is a sharpshooter, we've really got them in our sights. That rifle magazine was a valuable clue, Matthew, but we've still got to keep our eyes peeled for the murder weapon. Good point. Unlike the rifle, a hunting knife is a close-range weapon. Perhaps the killer discarded it at the crime scene. Let's head back to the baobab trees for another look, Matthew. Of course, my news is in the background if you can hear something. But I am under a happy hour. That would explain why I am speeding this up. Want to be able to do everything I can.
It's a call many families in Hawaii are still waiting for access to affordable housing. For some,
giraffe, flashlight, orange.
Shows just how high the demand is for affordable housing in the islands. The housing authority says 150 households will move into newly repaired state housing units.
Pilot's logbook.
Must receive letters to come in for an appointment between 9 and 3 today. At least half of
there we are.
families received access to their new homes. Many have waited years for this opportunity.
I've been waiting 19 years, so like I said, I don't have any young children now. It's just me and my son, and he's 19. But I feel sad.
10,000.
It's nothing new. Everybody knows. But what's important is
those broken pieces of wood are no murder weapon, but if you think they're worth putting back together, let's do it. And that looks like Jacobo's logbook of flights. That might tell us something about the plane crash. I'll get the dusting kit so you can reveal those faded pages.
Overall child well-being and education, health, economics, and family. 15% of Keiki were found to be living in poverty in 2014. That's compared to 10% back in 2008. The national average stands at 22%. The study shows it's partially due to parents' lack of secure employment. Hawaii's lowest score report is in education.
Wow.
Ranking number 33.
Nice work putting that sign back together, Matthew. It reads, Fananana Manokana. Zayazo Idirana, Patrick Bota. That last part is clearly a name, but the rest of the sign is a foreign language. Let's see if DuPont can translate it.
Much higher than the Department of Education had anticipated. Some bids topping $100,000 when the state had
12 hours.
around $20,000. One state lawmaker is now asking the Attorney General to investigate whether contractors conspired to inflate the cost of the work.
if profiteering is happening on the suffering of our children, then RAG needs
the victim's note.
and if the DOE is
This logbook records all of Jacobo's recent flights, Matthew. He sure did get around. You're right. His service checks in Madagascar were conducted by Nina Zaffi, just as she explained. But one entry's been circled. It says, the oil pressure was dangerously low after this. Talk to Nina. Was Jacobo accusing Nina of poor safety checks? Conducting aircraft safety checks is a serious responsibility. Could Nina Zaffi have caused our crash, Matthew? We better have another talk with her.
The state work with contractors on ways to reduce costs by altering the job specifications. Break the law, lose your gun, no matter where it happens.
Would you care to explain this logbook entry, Miss Zaffi? Jacobo didn't sound happy with your recent safety checks. What are you talking about? Let me see that. How dare he blame me for his poor maintenance? Is there any way possible that our plane crash was due to your carelessness? That's ridiculous. I'm the best mechanic at Antananarivo. My safety inspections are impeccable. I even take days off and my hay fever is bad to make sure I'm always on top of my game. If there was anything wrong with Jacobo's plane, it would be because of his neglect or carelessness, not mine. I hope you're right, Miss Zaffe. If we find out you killed Jacobo or that we crash landed because of you, your reputation will be the least of your worries. Okay, I'll get the remaining stars, and for now, this is Matthew. See y'all then. Morning, folks. It's Matthew. We're back. Let's get the results of the flight recordings. I was under a happy hour last night, so I decided to speed up the 12-hour one. Unfortunately, that was the one that gave me the next crime scene. Impressed, Matthew? We crashed in the middle of the Malagasy jungle, and I've got my lab working almost as well as at headquarters. Yes, kiddo, you're a genius. Now about our plane's black box? A fascinating piece of equipment. These devices are virtually indestructible, withstanding G-force impacts of more than 3,000 and temperatures in excess of 1,000 degrees. I can't explain why our plane crashed, but there's something else in this box recorded you'll be interested in, Matthew. Illicit drug use is a serious breach of regulations, Miss Hart, and you were on probation. I must report this to the tribunal. Captain Nkosi, you can't. It was just one time. Explain it to the board, Miss Hart. This isn't the time for debate. You're only on this flight because it was an emergency. You can't dismiss me that easily, old man. This isn't over. Uh-oh. Jacobo and his co-pilot were having an argument moments before our plane came down, Matthew. Are you saying that Jacobo was about to bust Jasmine for flying under the influence of drugs? That could have ended her career. Good intuition, Matthew. This also means that Jasmine Hart has an addiction. It's time we had a serious talk with her. About our argument with Jacobo? She's clear for now. Miss Hart, we found a recording of you and Jacobo arguing. He was reporting you for flying under the influence of drugs. Right. The black box recorder. Look, I was at a nightclub in Johannesburg where crew members hang out. Jacobo was there and he saw me taking some ecstasy. He was furious because I was already on probation for failing a drug test, but I was off duty. I'm allowed to have fun in my free time, right? Pardon me, darn hay fever. Having fun is one thing, but drugs and flying don't mix. If Jacobo had reported you, you could have lost your license. That's a strong motive for murder. I admit I may have a drug problem, but I'm not a killer. I hope for your sake you're telling the truth. If we discover you had anything to do with Jacobo's murder or this crash, your flying days are over. Let me see. It's a marksman. Well, for now Jasmine Hart is cleared because she's not a marksman. Markswoman, I should say. Wooden sign now. Let's get the results from DuPont. Matthew, mon Dieu, it warms my heart that you're alright. What a drama, but every cloud has a silver lining. I'm not following you, DuPont. How could there possibly be a silver lining to a plane crash? Madagascar, of course. Such a wonderful nation. I've always wanted to visit. These aren't ideal circumstances, May. We're ecstatic you've managed to scratch something off your bucket list. Now about that text you sent you on the wooden sign. Mais oui, it's a perfect example of the rich cultural heritage of Madagascar. The language on this sign is Malagasy, the country's national language. Malagasy traces back to Southeast Asian trade and migration, borrowing words of Malay, Javanese, and French, the country's other official language. While this particular message is rather banal, it's a pleasure to have read it. So, DuPont, what's the message? Ah, oui. The sign says private property, stay out. And it appears to belong to a certain Patrick Bota. If Mr. Bota has a no trespassing sign at the crash site, this whole area must be his, Matthew. Meaning he may have seen Jacobo's killer. Let's go talk to this Patrick Bota. Whether he saw the victim on his property? Who are you and what are you doing on my raffia plantation? Whoa, take it easy. Put that gun away. We're the police. The police? Why didn't you say so? Welcome. Mr. Bota, is it? Ranger Matthew was on that plane that crashed nearby, and we wanted to ask you about the murder of the pilot, Jacobo Nicosi. Murder? I don't know anything about that. Raffia palms? Now there's something I can tell you a lot about. Very diverse plant, the raffia. You can use the fibers to make raffia rope, raffia baskets, raffia twine, raffia hats, raffia shoes, raffia clothing, raffia rugs. Okay, raffia, we get it, but did you see Jacobo? Nah, but then again, I had some raffia wine with breakfast, so who knows what I saw. I can't live without that stuff. Alright, Mr. Bota, don't drink too much. We may need to ask you some more questions later. The clock's ticking, Matthew. We need to hurry if we're going to catch up with Somber's operation in Kenya. So who are our main suspects? Right now, those in charge of the safety of Jacobo's plane seem to be the strongest suspects. Jasmine Hart has a track record of operating an aircraft under the influence of drugs, while our victim accused Nina Zaffi of sloppy safety checks. Could either of them be behind Jacobo's murder? I'm not sure what to make of... What was that? Take cover, Matthew. Someone is shooting at us. Uh-oh. We'll find out what's going on in Chapter 3. Alright folks, it is Matthew. We are back, and we're going to start Chapter 3 of Crash and Burn. The clock's ticking, Matthew. We need to wrap up this investigation quickly. I'm not sure... Was that a gunshot, Matthew? Oh. Take cover. Someone is shooting at us. The shooting has stopped, Matthew. I've had a look around the area, but whoever fired at us is gone. This can't be a coincidence, Matthew. Someone is trying to frighten us, and it must be Jacobo's killer. We know that Jacobo accused Jasmine Hart of piloting under the influence of drugs and Nina Zaffi of poor safety checks. Could either of them be after us? Either way, we must be close to the truth that the murderer is trying to stop us. But let's not stay in the same place for too long. Great idea, Matthew. Let's get inside and take a closer look around the U.S. Embassy. We can't let this slow us down. That photo right there is something I hope never happens. Okay. There we are. Nice. 2 cards. Photographs are often important clues, Matthew, and people don't tear them up for nothing. Let's take this one back together. That document looks like it's from the Armed Forces, classified top secret, and it has Jacobo's name on it. Let's dust this off and see what it has to do with our victim. And this pilot's hat must be his, too. You're right, there's a bullet hole through it. Jacobo was shot at? This hat is covered with some sort of brown substance. I'll let you take a sample, Matthew. Get a couple stars first, so sit tight. Alright, I got 1 star. Let's examine the torn photo. Oh, looks like Ambassador Lange is trying to be a player. There we go. Hot damn. Wow, Matthew, it's obvious why this photo was ripped up. That's Ambassador Lange with some much younger and scantily clad ladies. You're right, Matthew, that photo was taken in a jet. Could that be Jacobo's plane? Either way, Alex Lange has some explaining to do. About his photograph. Ambassador Lange, would you care to explain what you're doing in this photograph? You found that? I knew I should have burned it. Jacobo took that photo. I trusted his discretion for my more unofficial flights. But then he turned around and used it to blackmail me. Jacobo demanded I give him some high-profile contacts for charter flights. Otherwise, he'd expose my extracurricular activities. Even after I gave him some, he had that sexy minx of a co-pilot try to seduce me into giving up more names during one of my hunting trips. Everyone says I should know better, but I need some distraction from the monotony of my work. You host charter flight parties with scantily clad young women because you're bored? Parties, alcohol, women, anything to get me through the day. Even taking my hay fever tablets seems to be a habit these days. Well, if it turns out you murdered Jacobo to protect your reputation, Ambassador, you'll have to get used to the monotony of prison. Now they're both in the running. Jasmine Hart and Alex Lange. Got it. Seeds. Great work, Matthew. Let's get the sample you collected from that hat under the microscope. Got it all. Raffia fruit. Those brown fragments you found on the victim's hat are seeds from the fruit from a raffia palm, Matthew. So that means Jacobo cut across that raffia farmer's plantation. He said he hadn't seen the victim. I think it's time we jogged Patrick Bota's memory. Demand to know if he shot the victim? Mr. Bota, how did your raffia fruit get onto Jacobo's hat? That pilot? I remember him now. He ran through my field. Do you often take shots at people who are casually strolling across your property? I have every right to defend my property, and that pilot was trespassing, so I fired a warning shot at him. A warning shot? There's a bullet hole in his hat. You could have killed him. But I didn't. If I wanted to actually shoot the man, I could have. I can hit a mosquito from a mile away. So not only did you lie about seeing Jacobo, you also tried to harm him. You'd better not be hiding anything else, or the only property you'll have to worry about is a prison cell. Unfortunately, he's in the clear for now. A military document. So this is a military discharge application. It has Jacobo's name on it. Could he have been kicked out of the service? But why is it classified as top secret? What was the army hiding? Good idea. Let's see if Elliot can find anything about this document in the database. Okay, this is 9 hours. I'll see you guys when this is done. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the military document. So kiddo, were you able to dig up anything from that military discharge paper? Was Jacobo kicked out of service? Far from it. From what I can see, Jacobo's military record was impeccable. No, the soldier discharged was Aristide Akintola, and it was Jacobo who signed the order. What? Our victim got his friend kicked out of the army? Aristide neglected to mention that. The case file says that Jacobo was concerned about Aristide's ability to fly after he lost his eye, that he should be permanently grounded. But not only that, he claimed that following the injury, Aristide was addicted to his pain medication, compromising his judgment. So much for a soldier's honor, Matthew. Aristide Akintola lied to us. It's time he told us the truth. About his military discharge. Excuse me? Mr. Akintola, you neglected to tell us your friend got you kicked out of the military. How did you find out about that? Those files are classified. Oh, well, what does it matter now? That was years ago. Surely that kind of betrayal must have been pretty hard to deal with. After I lost my eye, Jacobo and I drifted apart. It was like he no longer respected me. He thought I'd lost my edge, but don't let this eye patch fool you. I still have the eye of an eagle. I even practice target shooting to keep my vision strong. But Jacobo said my addiction made me unfit to serve. If it was just about keeping me on the ground, I could understand. But he didn't have to get me kicked out. Well, for your sake, Mr. Akintola, I hope you didn't let your grudge turn into murder. Well, Matthew, it's becoming clear that although Jacobo often stopped in Madagascar on his charter flights, he wasn't exactly popular with the locals. At first I thought that Jasmine Hart and Nina Zaffi were our strongest suspects, but now I'm starting to wonder. The victim was blackmailing Alex Lange about his unofficial flights. Perhaps the ambassador needed to keep Jacobo quiet? And we also know Jacobo got his former comrade Aristide Akintola kicked out of the military. Betrayal is a powerful motive for murder. Matthew, we need to... We're under fire again, Matthew, but they won't scare us away this time. Show yourselves. I can't see the shooter anywhere, Matthew. They must be using a long-range weapon. You're right. The shots came from the direction of Anosi Lake.
Certainly one which will be
victim's passport. 7. Bucket. There we are. I don't see anyone around. Do you, Matthew? Dang, the killer must have given us the slip. But you found some more clues. This passport has blood on it, and look inside. It's Jacobo's. There are some small fibers mixed in with the blood, Matthew. Let's get a sample of those quickly. And I'll let you look through that bucket of fish, Matthew. Let's hurry. Every second counts. You get some stars first. Alright, I just decided to just go ahead and do it anyway. Let's examine the fish bucket. Hunting knife. I didn't expect you'd find a knife at the bottom of that bucket of fish. Good intuition, Matthew. If we're lucky, we've got our murder weapon. Let's get this knife to Angela so she can compare it to the victim's wound. Examine the victim's passport right now. There we are. We've no time to lose, Matthew. Let's get the sample you collected from the victim's passport to Lars now. Okay, 9 hours, and I'll have all the stars collected. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the knife and everything else and put a killer behind bars. There's no doubt about it, Matthew. This knife is the murder weapon. The killer wiped away any fingerprints or the victim's blood, but the serrated edge and the thickness of the blade matched the wound on the victim's throat. Nice job, Matthew. You found the murder weapon. We're closing in on our killer. They left something else behind, too. I found some blue fibers caught in the knife's handle. I put the fibers under the microscope and determined they're strands of cotton, likely pulled from an article of clothing. The evidence is right before our eyes in living color, Matthew. We're looking for a killer who's wearing blue. I want to be able to get some cards, and hopefully I will do such a thing.
Who's talking about that bakery? Ellie, load it up.
Okay, small fibers now. Matthew, you've been working hard on this investigation since the crash. I'm so glad to see you're alright. This is all pretty crazy, huh? Yes, Lars. It's been an intense experience. Thank goodness the triplets weren't with us. Angela and I are so relieved about that. But it made me think how close I came to rock hero status. What are you talking about? Do you know how many rock superstars have died in plane crashes? I would have been a legend. I think they were already legends before they crashed, Lars. Now, were you able to identify those fibers Matthew collected from the victim's passport? Those are a great find. First of all, the blood is your victim's, meaning the killer must have taken the passport from the crime scene. And second, they weren't fibers at all. They're pieces of human hair. Unfortunately, these hairs are too small to make a DNA match, but their short, coarse, and bristly characteristics are consistent with facial hair. So our killer's got facial hair. Things are about to get hairy for Jacobo's murderer, Matthew. The killer did their best to scare you off, Matthew, but you found all the evidence you need to put them away. Let's go get them. Aristide Akintola. Aristide Akintola, you're under arrest for the murder of Jacopo Nicosi. That's crazy. I held a grudge against Jacopo, but I wouldn't kill him over that. Then how come we found hair from your beard on Jacopo's blood-stained passport? I bet you can't even make a DNA match on those. You can't prove they're mine. Don't pretend you weren't there, Aristide. You sneezed grass pollen on the victim. Your hay fever gave you away. Nonsense. I wasn't anywhere near your crash site. Don't you think I would have helped you if I was? Help us? You try to kill us. We know you're a sharpshooter. Ranger Matthew found your rifle magazine and you took shots at us. Alright, a good soldier knows when the fight is over. I did kill Jacopo. My only mistake was killing him before I got to you. What? Are you saying you intended to kill us even before we got on your trail? Yes, but I saw that backstabbing scoundrel first, running towards town. My anger got the better of me and I couldn't resist taking him out on his way back to the plane. That makes no sense, Aristide. How did you know we'd even be here? Our plane crashed. It's of no consequence now. I'm just glad the mongrel is dead. I've got nothing else to say. You may want to rethink your silence when you're in front of the judge. You're under arrest for the murder of Jacopo Nicosi. Aristide Akintola, you stand before this court accused of the murder of Jacopo Nicosi and for firing upon Bureau members. How do you plead? Guilty, Your Honor. I cut Jacopo's throat like a squealing pig and enjoyed every second of it. Your callousness and lack of remorse are disturbing, Mr. Akintola. You'd be wise to have more respect in front of this court. I don't answer to you or this court. I answer to the one who offers me the biggest paycheck. Are you saying you're a hired gun? Were you paid to murder the victim? Please, do you honestly think I'd answer that? A good soldier knows when to keep his mouth shut. I've heard enough. Given the viciousness of the murder and your calculated plans, I hereby sentence you to 30 years imprisonment. You might as well make it a life sentence. I won't let you serve all that, but it was worth it. I'm glad that backstabbing dog is underground.
Let's talk about Adam Forbes, okay?
This murder investigations turned out to be a lot more complicated than it first appeared, Matthew. Aristide seemed to imply that he was paid to murder Jacopo Nicosi. But even more disturbing, it's possible he was also paid to kill us. We thought Aristide was trying to intimidate our investigation, but it turns out he was trying to finish the job. None of this makes sense, Matthew. We weren't even supposed to be in Madagascar in the first place. There's more going on here than we realize, Matthew. You need to get to the bottom of it.
They go away when the doctors give me drugs. Well, why don't you stay on the medication? I want to talk about that.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Patrick Bota cleared from the start. Jasmine Hart, no facial hair. Nina Zaffi cleared early. Alex Lange almost made the cut. It was Aristide Akintola. I'll see you guys for the AI. Alright folks, we're back. Let's start The Enemy Within 1-6. In all my years as a criminal investigator, Matthew, I've never had a day as strange as this one. We crash in the Malagasy jungle, our pilot is murdered, and it's possible someone hired the killer to target us. And all of this is delaying us to getting to Kenya to track down Sombra. Aristide Akintola isn't talking, so it's up to you, Matthew, to discover the truth. There's clearly more going on here than we realize. Matthew's right. How could Aristide have known we'd be in Madagascar, unless our plane was meant to crash here? Are you suggesting our aircraft was sabotaged? Matthew, if our plane was tampered with, Jasmine Hart must have noticed something was wrong. You must talk to her. Excuse me, Chief Ripley? I know you want me at arm's length, but I might be able to find out more about Sombra's operation in Kenya. Is that so? Matthew, you and Carmen go talk to Michelle about this, but be on your guard. I'm counting on you, Matthew. If any of us were targets of an assassination plot, we need to know who is after us and why.
Identify their favorite snacks, like old books, clothing, wood. Then I seal entryways and use the latest scientific methods.
Let's talk to Jasmine Hart first. Ranger Matthew, I thought you would have already been on your way to Kenya. No, Miss Hart. We have a few loose ends to tie up. We'd like to ask you about the circumstances surrounding our crash. Jacobo talked about an explosion in the engine just before we came down. Do you know of any reason why that could happen? No, I'm sorry. All of our pre-flight instrument checks were in perfect order. But an explosion of that magnitude must have been caused by something outside of the plane. But I have no idea what it could be. Alright, so we know it's not sabotage. It must be something else. But what? Ranger Matthew's right. We need to have another look at what's left of our aircraft. I hope you'll find answers, and please take this refund, Ranger Matthew. It only seems fair that you get your money back, given that we didn't get you to Kenya. Plane wreckage?
We do everything together, from keeping fresh to taking care of business. You're lucky you're British. Sometimes Adam and I can't do everything together. That's why he gets Sarah from Rover.com, where thousands of pet parents just like you, sitters they trust to love us.
Okay. Now I know I have a number 1 ranking, but let's see. Soccer ball. Not bad. Okay, nope. There's my score.
Is there any chance we can get Kevin's psych records?
His pleading out takes away our right to see them.
Dang, there's so much debris here, and I'm no aviation expert. What are we even looking for, Matthew? You think those broken pieces came from the plane? You could be right. Let's reassemble them and see what it is.
3 years I've been told the mentally ill out in Queens called Jackson Manor until he walked out a year ago.
Okay, first of all,
Don't know, but Jackson Manor says there hasn't been a homicide there since the early 80s. They say what Kevin.
change into a Dalmatian.
I'm sorry, I just need to ask you one question. Did Kevin ever talk to you about a woman named Nora?
Aha!
Yes, constantly lying.
This component is definitely from the plane's engine, Matthew, but I've no idea what it is. Wait, is that a bullet hole in one of the tubes? If someone shot at this engine component, Jonah should be able to tell us who. Let's get this to him.
He said they kicked him
9 hours?
last year when he asked to move back in with Aunt Tate.
Well, let's find out how Michelle can help us.
You let him come back?
Matthew, I'm glad you and Chief Ripley have set aside your concerns about me. I really think I can help track down more information about Sombra's planned operation in Kenya. Don't get ahead of yourself, Michelle. We don't trust you yet, but we're listening. On continents like Africa, Sombra often uses shortwave radio transmissions to communicate their operation briefs to remote agents. Mission orders are disguised as innocuous information, usually weather pattern coordinates or tide times. Agents decipher these to obtain their orders. If you can find a device that picks up shortwave radio signals and isolate the right frequency, I should be able to interpret Sombra's mission directives in Kenya. This all better check out, Michelle. We don't have time to waste on wild goose chases.
I told you this.
That's true, Matthew. There may be some equipment we could use at the U.S. Embassy. Let's head back to the ambassador's office and look around.
I'm sure you didn't come all the way up here this time not just to tell me that. No. Martha Davis, age 45, moved in the mornings to Kevin Jackson Manor. I thought I was going to have to go through every obituary on the internet. How did you find out about Jackson Manor? It's friend of yours know how a place like that can run.
You know, the top homes have schizophrenically productive lives, and the bad ones, the flop houses, just provide minimum care while their owners line their pockets with government money.
So instead of drugs with their patients, they use the money to buy themselves from savings. Was Martha Davis' cause of death?
Suicide.
Radio.
Kevin says she was murdered.
Let's ask him.
There we are.
What's he doing here? Speak to him. You said looking to another psychotic break.
I know you didn't mean to kill Lester.
Nice catch with that radio receiver, Matthew. If we're lucky, it might do the trick intercepting Sombra's messages. Dang, it looks like this receiver requires some sort of access code. Good thing you're here, Matthew, to get it working.
That little boy might have died if I hadn't found him.
Yes, I know. I know. What do you want?
We know you're telling the truth about Martha in court.
I can't talk about that.
Okay, why can't you talk about that?
Because they'll get me.
She sees.
No.
CO4,
From the home.
PZ8, VAE. Got it.
But if you're right, if they killed Martha,
You unlocked that radio receiver, Matthew, and it's picking up radio transmissions. No sense fumbling around with this receiver ourselves. Elliot should be able to isolate the right signal in no time.
Last summer, one day during the heat wave, Martha shut herself in her room and wouldn't come out.
6 hours. I'll let both run their courses, so for now, this is Matthew. See you then.
She was burning.
she was in a lot of pain.
Alright folks, it's Matthew, we're back. Let's get the results of the shortwave radio.
Like you figured, Mrs. Fletcher.
Just in time, Matthew. Thanks to that radio you sent me, Michelle and I have intercepted an encoded Sombra transmission. I'm very grateful you helped me isolate the correct signal, Mr. Clayton. I know how you in particular must feel about my former affiliations. Well, it wasn't you who kidnapped me, and besides, it was your anonymous tips that helped us bring down their operations in Oceania. About that Sombra transmission, once I managed to isolate the signal, Michelle was able to decipher Sombra's coded instructions. As anticipated, they were using a series of weather coordinates. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any clear message. All that gets repeated is a series of names, followed by the word contact. Fabrice Kabila, Gordon Davidson, Lavinia DeBrills, Terrence Zimmerman. The list keeps playing in a loop, but I'm not familiar with any of them. Matthew has a good suggestion. Maybe Ambassador Lange could identify these names. Well, I guess you were helpful, Michelle, but it still doesn't mean we trust you.
And it came to me. Dorian threatening Nate. The headless horseman at all seems.
Ask Ambassador Lange to help.
Dorian was lying there out cold, so
What can I do for you, Ranger Matthew? Please, come in. Would you like a drink?
Nate's body was stuffed.
Ambassador Lange, we were wondering if you might help identify some names for us. None of them are familiar to us, but perhaps you might recognize them.
I guess that explains
My pleasure. Let me see the list. Fabrice Kabila. He's the foreign minister in Angola, a dreadful bore. Gordon Davidson. I played golf with him once. Lavinia DeBrills, heiress to the DeBrills Diamonds Empire. She was at a state dinner hosted by my counterpart in Kenya earlier this week. Terrence...
Since she died,
I beg your pardon, Ambassador? What did you say? Lavinia DeBrills, heiress to the world's largest diamond firm. She's currently in Kenya. I never met the woman, but she's highly influential. That must be it, Matthew. Ambassador, is there anyone else on that list in Kenya? No, the rest of them are spread across many countries in Africa. An influential heiress to a diamond fortune, Matthew. That's definitely someone who would attract a lot of attention. Now that we know who we're looking for, we'd better let Chief Ripley know about this ASAP. I wish you luck, Ranger Matthew, so glad I could help. As a token of my appreciation for bringing Aristide and Akintola to justice, please accept this gift on behalf of the Malagasy people. Lemur hat. Engine component now. Jonah, were you able to find out anything from this bullet hole in this engine component? I can tell you it was made by a Ruger precision rifle, and more precisely, by the one Aristide used to fire at you. Are you saying that Jacobo's killer shot at our plane? How would he even be able to hit the engine? These rifles are designed for exactly that kind of long-range precision, but whether it would be enough to bring down a plane, I can't be certain. Good idea, Matthew. Nina Zaffe knows that aircraft systems back to front. Let's show her this component.
abrasive particles, but now new Sensodyne True White doesn't have that abrasiveness to it.
Okay.
With the new Sensodyne True White, there's an option for these patients. It will not only treat sensitivity, but will also provide the whitening that my patients are looking for. I will absolutely be recommending Sensodyne True White to patients with
Help
tooth
identify.
sensitivity.
Let's ask for her
also
help.
interested in whitening their teeth.
Nina, we were wondering if you could help us identify this engine component. Ranger Matthew found it at the crash site. That's simple. These are hydraulic pipes, and these ones have seen better days. Wait, is that a bullet hole? Yes, it seems someone took a shot at our plane. Would a bullet be enough to cause an explosion and possibly crash our plane? Without question, the hydraulic system regulates the fluid that controls the movement of the flaps on the aircraft's wings and tail. A bullet to these pipes could easily cause the hydraulic pump to rupture, and without hydraulic pressure, Jacobo would have lost control of the plane's flight path. I'd stake my reputation on it, Ranger Matthew. This crash wasn't an accident. Someone deliberately shot your plane down. So it's true. Aristide tried to kill us all. But on whose orders and why? You've been through a lot, Ranger Matthew. You should have something to eat to recuperate.
Are you ready? Ask your Hep C specialist if Harvoni is right for you.
We finally made progress, Matthew, thanks to the discovery of Sombra's likely contact in Kenya. I still can't believe we're apparently working together with an ex-Sombra operative. Carmen, remember how I trusted your judgment when we welcomed Jonah onto the team? You need to give Michelle a chance. That's fair enough, Chief. Now we've also learned that Aristide Akintola deliberately shot down our plane. But we need to find out who hired him to take us out. Good point, Matthew. Aristide was down by the shore of Anasi Lake. That's where you found his rifle magazine. Perhaps that's where he shot at the plane? Let's hurry to the lakeshore, Matthew, before whoever's after us tries it again.
When the fate of breakfast hangs in the balance, Scrat won't let any obstacle, any problem, or anything at all stand in his way. Unconscious Boat cereal, dedicated to delicious. NC Ice Age Collision Course in theaters July 22nd.
Now don't you worry about me. The train will be along in a minute, and you have a class to get back to.
Oh, never mind the class. I just find it so hard to concentrate worrying about Sarah. You know, she checked out of the hotel this morning. I don't know where she got to.
You're going to find her, Dorian. And remember, I expect to be invited to the wedding, even if I can't play the
Paintbrush, tin can.
Thank you, sir.
Wind turbine. There we go. Army box, military box.
Where are you going?
Dorian, you were so right about me. I've been a doormat all my life. I have you to thank for showing me the way.
That steel box has a military insignia on it, Matthew. It must belong to Aristide. We better hurry and look inside.
Sarah, what about us?
We'll always have Wenton. I'll send you a postcard from Radio City.
Okay.
Oh, Mrs. Fletcher, I do so hope you'll let me ride with you.
That was easy. Punch cards. This box is definitely Aristide's. It's full of military equipment. But is there anything that could shed light on who hired him to shoot down our plane?
Oh, here she comes.
Those punch cards are strange. And you're right, something's written on them. Better get your powder kit, Matthew.
Jessica? Next time I send you an urgent SOS, ignore it, please.
Somebody murdered my patient in my house.
The doc is in the house, and in all matters of life and death, Dick Van Dyke is on the case, solving mysteries and making house calls.
There we are.
Weekdays at 9 on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries.
You got the writing on those punch cards back, Matthew, but those numbers still don't tell us anything. We better get these to Elliot on the double. Looks like we'll have to wait again. 6 hours. I'll get the results tomorrow, so for now, Matthew, see you then. Alright folks, it's Matthew, we're back. Let's get the results of the numbers on the punch card. Elliot, did you figure out what Aristide's cards are about? Yes. You'd better sit down, Matthew. Punch cards are an antiquated way of encoding digital information. That's how Aristide received his encrypted assassination orders. Those cards record our classified path from Sydney to Kenya with instructions to take us out by any means necessary. And they were issued to Aristide by Sombra. Sombra? Of course! They must be furious their secret island headquarters was destroyed. But how did they get hold of our flight path? That's the worst part, Matthew. Contained within those numbers you revealed are hexadecimal ciphers, private encryption keys known only to members of the Bureau. So what are you saying, Elliot? That Sombra hacked into the Bureau's systems to retrieve our flight plan? Of course they didn't. Nobody can penetrate my firewalls. No, it's much worse than that, Matthew. The only way Sombra would be in possession of these encryption keys is if someone from within the Bureau sent them to Sombra. What the hell are you talking about? Someone inside the... What the hell are you talking about? Someone inside the Bureau gave information to Sombra? That's exactly what I'm saying, Matthew. Someone at the Bureau is working for Sombra. Elliot, those are massive allegations to be throwing around. A Sombra mole in the Bureau. Where's your proof? I'm sorry, but those encryption keys on Aristide's punch cards are undeniable evidence. Our flight path could only have been deliberately supplied to Sombra from inside the Bureau. This is outrageous! Who has access to these private encryption keys? You, Elliot? Or could Michelle have been responsible for this? Michelle doesn't have access to our systems, so it couldn't possibly have been her, but apart from her, everyone here can access them. So you're saying no one in the Bureau is beyond suspicion? I'm afraid not. Alright everybody, calm down. Come on kid, there must be something you can do to find out more. What about that satellite you've taken control of? Bob, I've not been able to find anything. No. At this stage, I haven't any idea how a message was sent, but I'm going to tighten my security measures to ensure it can't be accessed without a trace. Matthew, I need to give this some serious thought. Meet me here in an hour. Matthew, I've made my decision. Learning that someone among us is working for Sombra is very grave news, but we cannot put all of our work on hold. But how can we ever expect to defeat Sombra if one of us is working against the Bureau? We'll have to hope the mole will betray themselves in due course. For the time being, we've a clear priority in Kenya. Sombra's interest in Lavinia Debrils is unclear, but if they have their sights set on her or her family fortune, we need to get to her first. I know we're all uneasy and have been rocked by this news, but we need to pull ourselves together. Matthew, we've got work to do in Kenya. Something tells me this could be Archer, although I certainly hope not. June 30th, that's a Thursday. I'll see you guys for when that happens, but first, I got 4 sticker packs to open, but I got another card. I do have 2 queens of spades, but I have to save them because I'm already at the maximum of 99. Okay. And like I said earlier, the only case that I plan to do, that I had planned to film in collection mode, was case 30 in Grimsboro, because that's the only case I did not film when I did it in elite mode. So like I said, all my collection mode cases, assuming I decide to, will be off camera, not on. Okay, nothing. And I'll see you guys later.